Hello, it's good to have you with us on this Chuseok holiday. I'm Daniel, Chef for Arirang News. Let's begin with the headlines. One of Korea's most important holidays begin, Chuseok, and this year it's making for an extra long weekend. We have the traffic updates, the to-do guides, as well as a look at changing Chuseok culture. China agrees to adopt new sanctions against North Korea in response to its fifth nuclear test. Meanwhile, the top diplomats from Seoul, Washington, and Japan have agreed to meet on Sunday to discuss how to pursue those sanctions at the UN. And Samsung unveiled its latest measures to remedy the damages done by its Galaxy Note 7. It includes a major apology on a newspaper. Today is the first day of the Chuseok holiday, meaning millions of people are heading from the big cities to their hometowns using any and every means of transportation. Our Kim Jung-soo is out at arguably the most crowded station in Korea. Jung-soo, how's it looking for those heading in or out of the capital this evening?
Hello, Daniel. I'm inside Seoul Station right now, and I can tell you that the place is packed with travelers anxious to reunite with their families. As you might expect, aside from a few last-minute specials, most of the tickets have been sold out almost a month ago. And according to the Korea Railroad Corporation, a total of 130,000 people will use the station today and another 130,000 tomorrow. Between Wednesday and Sunday, the total number of travelers using the railroads nationwide is expected to surpass 3.6 million. Which is 4% more compared to last year's Chuseok season. Seoul Station is operating in a special emergency mode and will open 40 more time slots during the holiday season, with 173 KTX trains and 97 regular Mugunghwa trains operating each day.
A lot of extra hours for the workers there. Okay, Jung-soo, so what's the situation on the roads and in the airports?
Sure, Daniel. I can tell you that things are not much different on the roads and the airports. The Korea Expressway Corporation estimates that more than 330,000 cars will leave Seoul by Wednesday night. And if you count from Tuesday, that's over 830,000 cars in less than 2 days. Nationwide, the Korea Traffic Institute expected over 8 million people to be on the road Wednesday. As for air travel on Wednesday, the Korea Airports Corporation estimates that over 420,000 people will be using the nation's airports, with more than 170,000 people passing through Incheon Airport alone. Of those, about 100,000 were heading overseas. Back to you, Daniel.
All right, thank you for being out there for us, Jung-soo. Moving on, for the most, long Chuseok journey is a more than worth it experience, but for some, the holidays can be exhausting, awkward, and often downright stressful. Yoon Shin unveils some tips on ways to avoid being a negative factor or an unwilling target during the family get-togethers.
It's that magical time of the year, with Koreans reaching for the nation's traditional attire, hanbok, and stores offering big discounts to their customers. Holiday spirit is everywhere as Korea gets ready to celebrate Chuseok on Thursday. But don't be fooled into thinking everyone is looking forward to the family gatherings that come with it. It seems like for some people, a simple "glad to see you, how have you been?" is never good enough for a holiday greeting. In fact, that's why others are so stressed out about the holiday gatherings, because the topics they dread the most are sure to come up.
Get a job, that's what they always say. Am I asking too much when I say we should just keep the conversation casual?
I would hate it if anyone told me how I need to get married soon.
While the desire to avoid delicate topics at family gatherings is not limited to Korea, a pre-Chuseok survey found that Koreans think remarks about personal appearance, career choices, and marriage come up too often for their liking. Relatives can be brutally honest with each other, but some remarks, even innocent off-the-cuff comments, can be construed in a negative way because of the weight of expectations on younger family members. And yet, most of us still choose to attend family get-togethers rather than avoiding them.
So I think having time for family during the holidays is the whole point of the holidays. We all should make a really good effort to get together and have family time.
So, the best way to keep stress levels to a minimum over the holiday is to be considerate of each other's feelings and never take family members for granted. And if time with your loved ones isn't always perfect, just remember that most of us want the same thing.
A huge banquet of food, no arguing, and no cattiness.
이은신, 아리랑 뉴스.
It's also a tradition that things change. There are also quite a few people who spend this holiday in solitude. Convenience stores are reaching out to the niche market, and it looks like a win-win for all. Hwang Woo-jun meets the creators and the beneficiaries of these products and services.
So for Chuseok, my parents are actually away in Wonju, and I run a startup in Seoul. So I actually have to work a little more, and don't really have the time to make it over to my family. So I'm just going to spend my time alone in Seoul.
More people are choosing to spend the holidays alone rather than traveling to be with their family. This trend, along with the 5 million plus single-person households, has impacted the retail scene, with shops responding to the needs of the so-called me generation. For this month, convenience stores have been offering single-serving takeaway meals specifically customized for Chuseok, ranging from marinated sliced beef to Korean-style pancakes.
Those who aren't traveling back home during the holidays are increasing, and sales for easy-to-prepare foods are also on the rise as well. So we reinforced our stock according to that, so that those living alone can easily enjoy the holiday atmosphere as well.
In fact, since 2013, sales of takeaway meals during the holiday season, including Chuseok and Lunar New Year, have been in an upward swing. The sales growth reached 45% last year and will likely increase for this year as well. Convenience store employees say they have noticed a steep increase in demand during the Chuseok holidays.
I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say about 7 out of 10 of our customers these days are those living alone.
There may be various reasons that the customers aren't able to spend time with their family. However, thanks to the convenience stores selling holiday edition meals, some sense of comfort can be found.
It's great, it's easy, it's accessible, it's cheap. I could take a walk down to the convenience store and grab it. And it's really nice to have food like this near the holiday times because, it's nice to feel festive when you're away from home.
This marketing trick of the trade is expected to bring some holiday cheer to the home aloners who get a mini Chuseok feast and retailers who feed that bottom line. Hwang Woo-jun, Arirang News.
South Korea's foreign minister is to meet with his U.S. and Japanese counterparts on Sunday to discuss ways to isolate North Korea with tougher sanctions. Also, China's top diplomat stated Beijing agrees on the need to do more to impede the regime's nuclear and missile programs. Lee Ji-won has the details.
The foreign ministers of South Korea, U.S. and Japan agreed to meet on Sunday in New York to hold talks on North Korea's nuclear issue. Seoul's foreign ministry said that the three diplomats are expected to discuss stronger sanctions against Pyongyang on the sidelines of the 71st UN General Assembly, which began on Tuesday local time. This comes amid China's strong determination to deal with its longtime ally North Korea's nuclear issue. In telephone talks with Seoul's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se on Tuesday, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi agreed the time was right to set up the pressure on North Korea following its spate of nuclear and missile provocations. Minister Yoon called for the swift adoption of a stronger UN Security Council resolution to deter Pyongyang from engaging in further missile launches or nuclear tests. In response, Wang said the North's fifth nuclear test is a violation of UN Security Council resolutions and that it threatens peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. He added that China agrees that the international community should take sterner measures against North Korea by adopting new UN sanctions against the regime. Wang also said Beijing will carry out its obligations, including ensuring the resolutions are fully implemented, but he also mentioned that the final resolution to the North Korea issue is dialogue. The ministers also briefly exchanged their respective stances on the planned deployment of THAAD to South Korea. China maintains that it's deeply against the deployment. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
The nation's prime minister called for strengthened patrols along the western sea border with North Korea during Chuseok. The South's military chiefs of staff also checked the military's combat readiness in the front line. Kim Young-gil tells us more.
South Korean Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn urged the Coast Guard on Wednesday to always be on the alert for any provocations by North Korea near the northern limit line in the West Sea. The sea border between the two Koreas was drawn unilaterally by the U.S.-led United Nations Command at the end of the Korean War in 1953. But the North has long demanded that the line be moved further south. He also ordered the Coast Guard to crack down on illegal fishing by Chinese boats in South Korean waters. A growing number of South Korean fishing boats have filed complaints against illegal Chinese fishing as a major threat to their livelihoods. Meanwhile, South Korea's military chiefs of staff inspected the readiness of their forces. The Army Chief of Staff called on the Missile Command to be fully prepared for any possible missile strikes from North Korea. The Navy Chief of Staff checked on a Marine Corps unit on Yeonpyeong-do Island near the northern limit line, and the Air Force Chief of Staff inspected an air defense command. The three chiefs of staff called on the military to be on full alert during the Chuseok holiday and to react strongly in case of further provocations by North Korea. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
South Korea's National Assembly Speaker says the nation's opposition parties are not fundamentally against THAAD. Park Ji-won shares with us the remarks he made while meeting his U.S. counterpart over in Washington.
In a meeting on Tuesday local time in Washington, D.C., South Korea's National Assembly Speaker Chung Sye-kyun told his American counterpart House Speaker Paul Ryan that Korea's opposition parties are not fundamentally against the U.S. missile defense system THAAD. That's according to Assembly spokesperson Kim Young-soo, who also attended the closed-door meeting along with South Korea's three main political party floor leaders. Speaker Ryan reportedly told Chung that that is crucial for a strong South Korea-U.S. alliance, to which Speaker Chung replied that it's not that itself that Korea's opposition parties are criticizing, but the Korean government's lack of communication with the public and parliament over the decision of the missile defense system. The Assembly Speaker also said that the nation's three political parties all share a common understanding that the South Korea-U.S. alliance is the key to resolving the North Korean nuclear problem, and they all agree on the necessity of UN sanctions on the North. But he acknowledged that there are differences of opinion in the country. For example, those who argue South Korea should acquire its own nuclear weapons to counter North Korean threats, and those who completely reject nuclear weapons in favor of more dialogue with Pyongyang. In terms of regional diplomacy, Speaker Ryan stressed the importance of winning China's cooperation in solving the North Korean nuclear issue. The two parliamentary speakers also discussed the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. They agree that the FTA should be fully implemented for a strong alliance. Speaker Chung and the three-party floor leaders will wrap up their 8-day visit to the U.S. on Sunday. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Samsung will provide over 400,000 new Galaxy Note 7s in Korea to replace old ones with faulty batteries. The tech titan also issued an apology via a massive newspaper ad, hoping to win back customer trust. Here's Hwang Ji-hye with more.
In just over 3 weeks since the first Note 7 battery explosion caught people's attention, 17 cases of damage from overheating have been reported here in Korea. Following its 2.5 million handset recall worldwide, Samsung says back at home it plans to release 100,000 new Note 7s, which will not carry the faulty batteries starting Monday at local retailers. That's when Samsung starts its product exchange in the market. 50 to 60,000 new Note 7s will be provided every day until the 25th, putting the total number of replacements at over 400,000. Sources from the company say this will be enough to replace the initial Note 7s bought in Korea. The new phablet will show remaining battery power in green while the old ones in white. Meanwhile, the front pages of major Korean newspapers on Wednesday carried Samsung advertisements apologizing for the inconvenience. They also notified customers about the schedule for recall measures and more.
Customers can get temporary phones at Samsung service centers and retailers even during the 5-day Chuseok holiday before they get a refund with their new Note 7s.
Samsung also pledged to provide special funds worth around $25 to customers who decide to collect their new Note 7s instead of asking for a refund. 황지혜, Arirang News.
Hillary Clinton will return to the campaign trail on Thursday after taking 3 days off to recover from pneumonia. The Democratic presidential nominee abruptly left the 9/11 commemoration ceremony Sunday after what her campaign said was an episode of overheating, but later revealed that she had been diagnosed with pneumonia. The incident prompted further scrutiny of her health and her campaign's transparency. In Philadelphia on Tuesday, U.S. President Barack Obama vigorously defended Clinton's transparency while attacking Republican nominee Donald Trump's temperament.
We cannot afford suddenly to treat this like a reality show. We can't afford to act as if there's some equivalence here. And we take for granted sometimes what is steady and true. And Hillary Clinton's steady. And she is true.
The strong endorsement comes less than 2 months before the U.S. presidential election on November 2nd. Polls show a tightening race between Hillary and Trump. Around 200 Zika cases have been reported in Thailand so far this year. The country's health ministry confirmed an average of 20 new cases every week over the past 3 weeks. Health officials struggle to downplay risks from the virus, fearing its impact on the country's tourism industry. The ministry added the number of cases is stable now. The mosquito-borne virus, which is largely affecting South America and the Caribbean, has been spreading out in Asia for years. And that concludes our newscast for this hour. As always, thank you for watching.